Today I'm going to make a desk for my kid for school using nothing but scraps. So basically what I have is an old countertop that went to an island, but we redid our kitchen a couple years ago and this has just been sitting around. You can see there's this little inlaid area here that's going to make a nice area for these. I happen to have 4 of these. These are 2x3s or 3x1s, and basically they're going to go in there like so. We'll build some legs out and kind of build a frame around that. And for the legs, I have some leftover 2x6s. So these are going to get ripped down and we'll take care of all that. But to start with, we're going to take these and put them through the planer to clean them up. Now that I have those rails kind of run down and planed out to their thickness, I'm going to take a 2x6 and I need to cut off just this little edge here so that I have a straight side and then I can start ripping everything to its proper size. This is 5.5 inches wide. I'm hoping to get 2, maybe 3 legs out of it depending on how carefully I cut. And the general idea here is we're going to remove just around the corners, cut that off, and then we'll take it and make these square. So basically about 1.5 inches or so square legs, and we'll go from there. Now that I have these squared up on one side, I'm going to take my square here, get it lined up, get it set so it's perfectly in there. And now I can transfer this over to my table saw. Now that we have the 4 leg pieces cut, we can go ahead and measure and see how high we need to actually chop them so that they're at the right height for the table. So we went and measured my kid off his chair and all of that, and after measuring his arms where they're roughly at 90 degrees, came out to be roughly 21 inches. So that means from the top of the tabletop here to the bottom of the legs needs to be 21. So I need to measure the height of the tabletop, measure the inset of how far down this goes because there's a little rim there, and then cut these to make up the rest of the 21. And after some quick measurements, the height of this thing is 1.5 inches. It's a 3/4 inch inset, so 21 minus 3/4 inch gives me 20 1/4 inches that I need to cut these legs to. Let's do it. So the next step is taking the legs, putting them inside the little outcropping here, and then we're going to measure between here and here and here and here to see what we need to cut the rails that we planed down earlier at. So we'll measure this one and we're at 11 1/16. And over here we are at 17 1/32. So it's gonna be fun. Now the last thing I need to do to add to this is going to be pocket screws to hold this all together, both on the tops of the rails so it can screw into the tabletop, and also for the sides of the rails to screw into the legs. We should tie it all together. I'm also debating if I should add a taper to these just to make them look a little nicer. Not sure yet. So I am going to go ahead and put a taper on this thing. I have a tapering jig that I made for a table I made for my kid a long time ago. Basically it's a piece of 1/2 inch ply with some strips of wood, and basically there's a little cleat here that captures everything. Essentially what I'm going to do is stick the 1x1 on here, slide it through, and it'll produce a nice taper. Now really quickly what I'm doing here is I have a test piece that fits in here, but as you can see it doesn't come past the edge. So what I'm going to do is add some cut off scraps from the rails that I made and put those in there. And as long as that's butted up against there, this whole edge that's on the outside back edge here will get cut off. Then we flip the piece and cut that off as well, and we should be good to go. Now that we have those all cut, the last step is to take the rails and pop some pocket holes in there, and they're going to go on the inside and kind of face there. It's not really the most structurally sound thing, but it's going into the meat, and also it's a desk for a 5-year-old, so it doesn't really need much. So I did pocket holes on the sides there. There's also some going up towards the top, so that when it attaches, it will go in here. And the same thing with the side rails. This one just gets one pocket hole to attach to the top. So there it is, a really simple table. Didn't take a lot of time to do, maybe an hour worth of work, and with the sanding and paint a little bit more, but nothing big deal. But it looks good, it's enough space for my kid, and it didn't cost me a dime to make.